Butterfly in the sky, I can go twice as high. Take a look, it's in a book, a reading rainbow.
Well, growing up in Harlem, I grew up in the projects on 115th Street. I occasionally would sneak into the Apollo to see people like Ella Fitzgerald on stage when I was about 12 or 13. And I was always surrounded by music, and it kind of fed me to be in Harlem where there were so many things going on, not only musically, but for people of color. There was a certain ambiance. My father had us go to the Temple of Islam under Malcolm X. So that in itself was quite an experience. And I got to a certain point as a teenager that I realized that being a performer, if that's what I wanted to do, was not necessarily a welcome thing for women under the Temple of Islam reign. You know, you weren't encouraged to be on stage and stuff like that. So I kind of went back to the roots my mother laid out for us long ago, the Baptist church. We moved to Brooklyn. I became a member of a choir, sang with many groups. I was always being kind of brought into a situation to sing lead for a gospel group for some reason, even though I always sounded like a jazz singer, you know. So I was exposed to some of the cream of the crop when it comes to being around musical people. Well, I, as a youngster, did the amateur night, and I came in second, but it was still a wonderful experience. Well, I was trying to get taken seriously as a jazz performer, as a jazz recording artist, which is very difficult. I don't care, you know, when that happens. It's always difficult to get the kind of support a record label has to give you. So I was approached by a record label by the name of Prism, Prism, and I was brought in to replace Geraldine Hunt, Can't Fake the Feeling success. And I was going to be recorded as an R&B artist. But didn't quite happen that way. They wanted me to do, you know, dance music. And I won't say I don't love to dance music, but I don't care for singing it. You know, it doesn't give you enough room as an artist to develop a musical support. So I was a little hesitant, but I said I'd do a couple of singles with them. And that's how I was discovered by the writers of the Reading Rainbow. Stephen and his wife, Janet, were listening to different recording artists, just playing different voices to see what voice they thought would fit the Reading Rainbow theme, Butterfly in the Sky. And Janet, upon hearing my song, said, that's the voice we want doing our song. And so in the midst of doing dance music and kind of, you know, you do things with tracks you don't care for, you know. I like singing with live musicians. So during that time, I was approached by this writing team and asked if I would be interested in singing this theme. Anything to do with young people and encouraging education is my kind of thing, the kind of thing that would draw me to something like this. So we got in the studio. We did it very quickly. 1983 is when we did the recording for Reading Rainbow. And it's amazing that as the years went on, the show won, I guess, about 23 Emmys.
I can do anything.
Yeah, it's interesting. The first time we did it, it was for a set amount. I don't ever talk about what I'm pay for something because it's up to me to decide whether it's worth my time and my interest to do it. But as the years went on and the show was more popular, I was asked to do an upgrade of the equipment that it was recorded on. And I was paid quite handsomely for that. But my thing was, I guess I was just honored to be the voice that brought children to a place of wanting to read. And I can't tell you how many people not only send me messages, but people I've met even in theater. One young man, I think he had a earring for every ear, maybe several, and all kinds of tattoos. And when he realized that I was the singer for Reading Rainbow, he was about 6'4". He dropped to his knees. Miss Tina, I just want to thank you. You don't know what this did for me. So many people talk about coming home from school being latchkey kids, you know, and hearing that song and feeling like, oh, everything's going to be okay. So I don't really get concerned about, you know, because I know that the writers are not getting the kind of compensation you think they would get. Well, I think, I'm sure that LeVar knew more of the inside track as to what was happening either politically or business-wise than I would. You know what I mean? Because my connection with the piece is only that I did the song, I signed a contract, I got paid, and moved on. He was involved with the program from day one, hired to be the star of the show, as you know if you watched the documentary. So I'm sure that there are things and inner workings that he's aware of that I'm not. But I think it ran for like 24, 25 years. And I think everyone would have loved to see it continue. And why it hasn't, I have no idea. I think there's always that possibility because I think people who have been affected by it are still hopeful that the younger generation will get a chance to experience what they did, you know? So I think it's always a possibility that it can be rebooted or approached in another way. And I think the great thing about it is that they recognize the importance of the song because people all remember the song, you know? So I think it's highly possible that LeVar could get that happen.
Butterfly in the sky, I can go twice as high. Take a look, it's in a book, a reading rainbow, a reading rainbow.